Hey, Brass Facts here. Quick video. Today we're taking a look at the Credo 1-6X from Trijicon. To get this out of the way, we're not on the main channel here. I grabbed this thing for my upcoming LPVOs buyer's guide video, never really intended to make a full review. But I figured since I had time with both this and hops, I might as well thunder run a low effort review for the B channel. So here's that review. The Credo 1-6X, 24mm objective, 30mm tube. Very standard, basically default LPVO configuration nowadays. It's been done a billion times. In fact, that's the whole story with the scope. Second focal plane, 1-6X, BDC. A scope combo that exists across the industry and has largely been relegated to the budget categories in recent years. Which is probably why I don't see too many of these 1-6X Credos out and about. Instead, the cheaper 1-4X and the more capable 1-8X first focal plane seem to dominate on the Credo sales. On the surface, it kind of feels like a bad buy. Kind of expensive, not first focal plane, only 6X, no red dot bright illumination. But today I want to make a quick case on why this 1-6X is not only probably the best Credo, but low-key one of the better LPVO buys on the market right now. First off, it's second focal plane. Yes, we kind of view first focal plane as a premium feature, and in fact, first focal plane takes a lot more effort to create or etch into the scope. But let's break that apart for a second. We ultimately just want a usable scope, and frankly, first focal plane actually does come with a lot of downsides, despite being more premium. The 1X design usually ends up being way too small, and the max magnification design usually ends up being way too big, because we're asking one reticle size to handle both ends of the spectrum, instead of with a second focal plane design where the reticle stays consistent throughout. The 1X performance almost universally is going to be warpy and less flat compared to a second focal plane design due to the nature of playing optical Jenga with a first focal plane reticle. The whole upside of a first focal plane scope as well is the ability to use that reticle at any magnification is generally speaking just nullified here by the fact that this is just a 6X LPVO, which means, we can already do that. We're on the 1X, we don't care about the reticle subtensions. We're on the anywhere between the 2X and 5X. Generally means we're just taking an impromptu shot, we need magnification, but we're still well within our mean point blank of our 0. Put the crosshairs on the target and send it. Maybe aim slightly high. And when we're on the 6X, well, that's what the reticle is designed for. We also just, as a result of these feature sets, just get a really good clean 1X image. First focal plane scopes near universally, excluding a couple of LPVOs that I could count on a single hand that happen to have 2 fingers and 1 thumb cutoff, have worse relative 1Xs compared to second focal plane counterparts. That's not to say all second focal plane scopes beat all first focal plane scopes. Some FFPs do win out, but it's going to cost you money. Okay, I've said the word SFP and FFP way too many times, let's move on. But the Credo is a mid-range LPVO, and we end up with best-in-class 1X performance. Speaking of the 1X performance, I think some people are going to be dismayed by the lack of red dot bright illumination, but consider this. Unless your name starts with night and ends with force, there are basically 0 LPVOs out there that have red dot bright illumination that aren't using fiber wire technology. That means the reticle design itself has to be a single element design, and those are all made by the same people as far as I know, and they look identical. If that's all you care about, great. But for those that want the consistency of a purpose-built reticle with a bit more fidelity and fine etching, you're going to have to give up red dot bright illumination. So, for this scope, you're going to buy it because you want this reticle. The lack of 8 and 10X means, we're losing out on feature sets and magnification. But consider how much we really care about those magnification levels. 6X realistically is actually plenty for a generalist rifle scope, and 8X means we have to typically use a first focal plane design because when we have 8 or 10X, we will not always be able to use those max magnifications. We need a scaling reticle design, first focal plane. We can fix some of the problems inherent with 8 and 10X, meaning we can use them more often by scaling up the scope diameter, so increasing the objective length. But remember, that's going to make the thing cost more. It's probably going to mean upgrading tube size. It's going to cost weight and literal cost. And oh, look at that. We've turned our nice 1-6X into a Credo 1-8X or a Voodoo 1-10X. Both of these great scopes, but they're pricey and they do not come without major faults. So, in my opinion, for most rifles, 6X is fine. It means we don't need to go down a feature creep or a rabbit hole. It also means we stay fairly lightweight. This guy specifically, 18.5 ounces. I'd say the only downside of the Credo is that it's kind of slightly longer than average in terms of LPVOs. Doesn't really matter on an AR-15. That's ultimately it. The Credo is so great because it's got all the stuff we want and none of the stuff we don't need. And in the realm of LPVOs, that actually matters because not having the stuff we don't need actually means the stuff it does better. Well, that sounds ridiculous. One final aspect to consider, I think a lot of people are going to see this feature set and be like, dude, that's basically all budget scopes. And that's the key point here. The Credo is unique in the aspect that it has the feature set of a budget scope, essentially, mastered and then put into a medium to upper end scope. Right, the scope typically goes for $1,000. And that combination makes for just a very comfortable, good scope. It's a lightweight scope with an amazing 1x and a solid reticle to back it up. Right now, it only costs $800 on Euro Optics. I'll have an affiliate link down below if you want to give me some kickback, but once again, shop around for the best deal. Don't force yourselves to lose out on $100 to give me like $5, right? So, ultimately, this isn't a flashy scope, but I consistently see these on rifles of those in the know. Hop has one, and he's kept it, and he hasn't really even talked about it all that much. I'd keep mine if I didn't have a long-standing relationship with a PLXC and LCAM. A good anecdote here, simply, is just to compare this Credo to the Credo 1-8x first focal plane. They are functionally the same scopes, same reticle, same overall design, made by the same company. Yet, I consistently find, even though the 1-8x is significantly more expensive and more feature-packed, that I would take the 1-6 any day of the week. Okay, thanks for watching. Remember, this is the B channel where we couldn't think of a name, so we ended up calling it the Nova Group. We're going to post content here that we don't think fits on the main channel, lower effort content, higher effort content, and everything in between, including video games, show coverage, you name it. So if you want to see more of that, more Brock and Hop, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you. All right, see you guys later.